right? X squared, which means it's two x's multiplying each other. I can see that there's one x here, so I'm going to cancel out the squared. So now it's just x. But now also I can see here there's an x, so this also cancels out the x itself. And so we are left with y underneath. Underneath, the only thing that is left off is y, right? And at the top, the only thing that is being left is 2x plus 3y. And so the only thing we need to do now is just rewrite it as is of what is left off. And so it's just 2x plus 3y all over y, right? And so basically that would be our solution, right? However, there is a way of simplifying it even further, but this is sufficient as well. So you could have also said this is 2x over y plus 3, right? You could have also said this is 2x plus y over 3, because this would divide that y and that would divide there and it would just stay the same. So it's 2xy plus 3. So one of these two answers would be accepted and both of them are correct. Okay, so let's move on now to question 3. So question 3. So question 3. Oh, question 3, the entire question 3 is solving for x. So solving for x in this case, let's solve for x. So solving for x, if we go back, so we have to go back, solving for x. Okay. Solve for x. So solving for x here. Now the first one that we are confronted with, and this is 3.1, and this is 3.1.1, right? And this is 5x equals to 1 over 1 to 5. Okay, so how do we do this? Now this is an exponential question. Now exponential questions always try to make the bases the same first before you do anything else. So the first thing that we're going to try and do is to make the bases the same. So here we have actually 1 over 125. But 125 can be written as 5 to the power what? Is it to the power 2? No, because 5 times 5 is 25. But 5 to the power 3, that is 125. So this is to the power 3. Okay? Let me check this quickly just to make sure that I'm not getting it wrong. But it is 125, yeah. 1 over 125, evaluate. Yep, 125, okay. Awesome, so it is 125, right? And so 5 to the power x, right? And then because this is a fraction, we can actually rewrite this as 5 to the power negative 3 like that. And so it's 5x. Now the bases are the same. And so now we'll have x is equals to negative 3. And that's your final answer there. And then the next question, this is 3.1.2, so 3.1.2. And 3.1.2, we have at the top, it's 3x plus 1 over x is equals to 2. Okay. And mind you, as I'm doing these questions, I encourage you to actually just stop the video before continuing and actually try them out and then continue and do the same thing for each question that I go across. Okay, so go over. So this one here, it's a fraction as well. But now the thing is, we have x underneath, but we still apply the same method that we'd usually use when we do it, finding the lowest common denominator. And in this case, I would say we have 3x plus 1 over x, right? And I'm going to multiply this entire fraction with x. And I'm also going to do what I did on the left-hand side on the right-hand side and multiply 2, right, with x. And so this would become 2x. And here we will cancel out. And then it's 3x plus 1. And then what happens? Then we just simplify. So because it's 3x and 2x, then this becomes here 3x minus 2x. And we take positive 1 onto the other side, so it's negative 1. And so here we have x is equals to negative 1. And that's equals to negative 1. Basically, that's the solution there. And now we have 3.1.3. Now 3.1.3, 3.1.3, we have basically x plus 13, x minus 1. Now, yes, I know that most times whenever you are working with two brackets, you want to get rid of the brackets. But whenever you are solving for x and you have two brackets like this, right, then the only thing you need to do is just say it's x plus 13 equals to 0, or x minus 1 is equals to 0, right? And that's just 1, and that's just negative 13. And how is this possible? How is this possible? Why did we do it like this? And this is or one of the two, meaning what? Means that at any point when I put negative 13, when I put it back into the equation, this would give me equals to 0. Or if I put 1 into the equation, this would give me 0. So what does it actually think if you think about it? Yes, we don't know what x is, but think about this. If you're multiplying two numbers, how can you get your answer to be 0? It's only if one of the two is equals to 0. So that's why we take each one and equate it to 0, and do the same for each one. We equate it to 0 for each one, because one of the two has to be equals to 0 when we are multiplying two numbers together, right? When you're multiplying two numbers, whichever number you could think of, 1 times 0 is 0. 10,000 times 0 is 0. Or 0 times 10,000, in whichever order, right? One of the two has to be equals to 0. So if you find brackets like this, remember it's x plus 13, right? In the bracket times x minus 1. The only way that can be equals to 0 is if either one of the two brackets is equals to 0. And that's why we say x plus 13 is equals to 0 and x minus 1 is equals to 0. Okay, so basically, hopefully I explained that very well. Now we move on to 3.1.4. So 3.1.4, there's actually a bunch of instructions. So it says 3, so we have the inequality of 3 times x plus 7, close bracket, that is less than x over 2 plus 1. And they say, and represent your answer graphically, right? If we are expected to represent our answer graphically, I'm going to have to draw something, right? So now we have to 3.1.4. So 3.1.4. So if you write 3.1.4, that was 3 x plus 7, that is less than x over 2, right? X over 2 plus 1. Okay, so now we have an inequality. Just because it's an inequality does not necessarily mean we need to treat it differently from a normal equation, right? So we do the same thing as we would have done in a normal equation. In this case, we'd first multiply in like that, and that will give us 3x plus 3 times 7, 21. That is less than x over 2 plus 1. Okay, now we've done that. Now we need to get rid of the fraction. So how can we get rid of the fraction? Again, we use the same method that we used here, right? We have the denominator being 2, and it's the only denominator. So I'm going to make everything be multiplied by 2, right? And then I'm going to do it on the left and on the right-hand side. So now we actually have 2 times 3x, so it's 2 times 3x, and that is 6x. 2 times 21, that would be 42, right? That is less than that would be x, right? Plus, because 2 times that is just x, and then 2 times that would be 2. So there we have our inequality in linear form. Now we need to just simplify. So now this would be 6